So what if not having a mentor, not having someone to guide you was not a disadvantage? What if it's actually an opportunity, a situation that you can take and create everything that you want to out of that, right? No one showing you how, no one laying it out for you or stepping in to guide your steps, just you and what you decide to do with that. I want to talk you through something about LeBron James, and it's not something that's usually talked about because his success is so massive, but it's a decision that he made early on in his life that most people really never have to make. And the decision he made and how he did it is what changed everything. And if you catch it, it can change how your entire life trajectory can go. So I don't know if you saw it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. The recent game between the Lakers and Orlando Magic, where the Lakers won in the last seconds. I mean, it was neck to neck. Luke Kennard won it with a three-pointer, which was just over the top. But also in that game, LeBron James broke the NBA record for the number of games played, 1,612. But this is not about basketball, because it's not a miracle that he got there, but it's phenomenal that he got there. This is about what you do when something essential and vital is missing in your life. And that something is what LeBron James has done masterfully. He didn't just build success. He literally designed stability for himself. And let's start there, because he did not grow up with structure. His mom gave birth to him when she was 16. I mean, that's young. My gosh, that's a child herself, right? There was no consistent father figure. There was a lot of movement in their living circumstances, right? He had it tough, and things never really got settled. But what stands out to me isn't just the circumstances or how he got through it. It's that he knew it. Like, he had this awareness of what was going on, and he was being intentional about how he was walking through it. He wasn't just thinking, oh, well, that's how it is. But that intentionality, like, there's something off here, or I'm not getting something other people have. I don't know exactly what his thought process was clearly, but I think what matters the most in all of this, which most people don't realize, is that when you actually see what's missing, or see what's needed, I should say, that's when you can do something about it. So what happens when you do see it? So usually one of two things happens. People either normalize it, like, oh, well, that's just the way it is, or they push against it, like, it should not be this way, or they're pissed off, which is totally understandable. Both of those are, right? But then there's also something else that can happen, not in an obvious way, but where people just kind of give in, acquiesce, because if it wasn't there, then what can I do about it? And there's a passivity that might creep in because circumstances are so very difficult. And they usually don't say that aloud. So just hang with me a minute, okay? Because this is where his story shifts and where it might, I don't know, hit something for you. So what he did was simple, not easy, but simple. He didn't have something. He didn't have the stability. He didn't have the role model. But he decided to become that for himself. And not in a big declared way. It was really an internal shift. If you look at his life circumstances and the choices he made, he chose to orient. I call it internal orientation. But this quiet internal line, like he had no father figure, it was like, all right, what would one look like? There was no structure, then I'll have to build some. There's no one showing me the way, then I'm going to figure out a way how to move. And this is what matters, because he didn't pretend that it didn't affect him, but in that awareness, in his circumstances, he decided it wasn't going to define who he is and how he walked. And there is the difference. It's huge. It's a real difference. What would it look like? Just consider for yourself. If something's missing in your life and you make the decision that it's not going to determine your next steps, that you are going to be the deciding factor. Because people hear this and think it means pushing harder, but that's not what I see. It's not, and I'm not saying he didn't work hard, but what I see is that there was like a regulation. He didn't just move forward, he managed himself. He walked intentionally through his circumstances, in the decisions he made, in the environment he was in, by checking his own behavior, right? So there was this sense of, I can't throw this away. Like he said multiple times in interviews, even early on in his career, like, I can't mess this up. I know this is important. Can't let anyone down. Like he carried that and groomed that sense of responsibility, radical responsibility. And he didn't wait until he felt ready, or until things got clearer or easier by any means. He just started holding himself to the standard, right? He designed the standard and then he held himself to it. Even before he knew what was going on, he chose that internal orientation and that internal structure to walk and build according to. So if you've ever had to work things out on your own, figure it out on your own, I know that I had to, you may recognize that feeling where it's so easy to just fall into that, oh my God, this is never going to work. And to gather your energy and say, and I'm going to figure something out in this. And I also want to be fair. He didn't do that all alone, right? There were people along the way. He was intentional about how he leaned into those people in what they offered him, especially what he would do with their support. Like his high school football coach, Frank Walter, gave him a home. He stayed with him. And that was really the first real stability that LeBron James knew. And then his coach, Drew Joyce at St. Vincent St. Mary, built a super strong team environment in basketball. And then he had close friends that he just brought him through his whole life, right? They stayed with him. And his closest friend, Maverick Carter, actually became his strategy guy, if you will, and his business partner in building his empire. So it wasn't like one person stepped in and said, oh, do this and let me show you the way. But there were pieces and there were people and opportunities and examples. And he took what was helpful and then he built the rest. I mean, the term comes to mind, a self-made man. That's really, really what this man did, or a self-made woman. And recently I did a And that's really what he was. The term comes to mind, a self-made person, right? And that's really what he did. He took what was useful and then he built the rest himself, yeah? He didn't have one mentor. He kind of assembled one, collated a guide that he needed from the people that were available to him and from the offerings that he had, but also from within himself. So that leaves us with a question. So what do you do then when what you need doesn't show up or not in its entirety? And this is what I see. He noticed what was missing. Like that awareness, that taking note of the environment, right? I use the term POP, pause, observe, proceed. To take a pause and to really look at things and say, oh wow, I witnessed that. That's what's going on. He didn't ignore it. He did not minimize his circumstances. He actually also didn't wait either. He took responsibility in the moment. He didn't just wait for some moment in the future. And no doubt he had hard times. No doubt he had times of disappointment. I mean, my gosh, the circumstances were tough. But he took responsibility. And that is a hard shift, but it changes everything. From why didn't I get that? Why aren't they there? Into what do I need to be now? What can I do now to move myself forward? And that is so not a motivational idea. It's literally a turning point. And what I think is so amazing is that's within our hands. We don't have control over the circumstances, but we have control over how we walk through them. And then things start to change. Not immediately, but steadily when we stay consistent with that kind of commitment. So when you actually take that on, your life organizes differently. You stop circling the same explanations or repeating the same narrative. It's really a choice of, I'm going to stop waiting for the same things or waiting for things to change. And I'm going to start making decisions for myself from a different place within myself, from a different narrative that I'm creating. And then something very simple happens. You actually become reliable to yourself. Like, can you imagine you say, hey, I'm here for you, to yourself. I'm not going to let you down. I'm not going to tear you down. And I'm never going to leave you. I'm right here with you, and we're going to walk through this together. Like, imagine taking that kind of stand for yourself. And that's what I see in what LeBron James did, really, in retrospect. He was there for himself, not perfectly, but consistently. And then he built on that again and again and again. And what shifts when you trust yourself like that? Everything, literally, because then you can create not a perfect life, but days and years and a life that are yours, that you can live into, that express who you are and who you want to be in the world. And look at LeBron James now. He's had the same partner since high school, Savannah James. He married her in 2013, but they've been together like 20 years. She's the mother of, he's got 3 kids. He's had no public scandals, no fractured family system. And that is not random. It's not luck. That was literally continuity by design. Yeah. He didn't wait for the perfect guide. He didn't blame the absence of his father or that his mom couldn't create stable circumstances. And he also didn't pretend that it didn't matter. He noticed what was missing. He used what was available. He leaned into the people that wanted to support him and were there for him. And he filled that gap himself. And that's really radical responsibility in action. And you can track it. He didn't just move away from what he grew up in. Like he built this continuity and strengthened again and again and piece by piece. And he built something different on purpose, not at once, but over time. And I think that's the part that most people really miss. So just take a moment with this. Is there a place where you're still waiting, where things didn't show up the way you wanted them to, where the way you deserve them to, but you're still waiting, or you still have that narrative going that you didn't get it? And maybe you can shift that. Maybe that clarity that you're waiting for, you can create. Maybe the support that you want and deserve, you can find and reach out for. Maybe you can design your own direction, even if it all didn't come. And what would that look like if you started becoming that which you want to be? Not all of it, just like LeBron James did. One piece and then another and then another. And starting with just one step that really reflects it. Just pick one and start there. So you don't have to rewrite what's happened to you. You can't make it go away. Like, it's always there, you know it. But you can change how you see it. And from this point on, you can choose how you walk forward with exactly the way things have been. That's where you get to decide. What happens next literally belongs in your hands. Okay? So if this stayed with you, hang out here. This is the kind of work that we keep coming back to on this channel. And if you want to go further with it, you know where to find me. I'm right here. Thanks for listening. Be well.